Did you just say picking on you is a fantasy?
I would assume so. I said assume.
Why would you say something like that? Because what? Because I like to annoy you. There's a difference between. I'm trying to understand. Now you're turning me annoying you because you're my favorite person to annoy. So you're turning
So I don't
my
know.
annoying you
Is it a
to a
fantasy?
fantasy.
Is it a fantasy that you always
What
have?
is a fantasy? Let's start there. What is a fantasy? Maybe if you explain to me what a
So
fantasy
you don't know what
is.
a fantasy is?
No,
No, this is bullshit.
because you just said to me,
Because I mean, if
talking you is a fantasy.
so, again, you don't have to agree to it. If you know what a fantasy is,
I
you don't have to.
don't.
And clearly on this program, we're gonna need dictionaries and encyclopedias and everything.
Yes, we
Because
do.
I'm with a PG-13 right now.
What? I'm sure my 9-year-old son knows what a fantasy is. This has got nothing to do with age.
So what it has to do with? It has to do with the person then.
Yes.
Oh Lord.
Yes, it has to do with the person. It has nothing to do with age.
I've been troubled. Anyway, guys, I mean, yeah, fantasies we say.
Fantasies.
And here we go. This one get up in the middle of the fantasy.
I got up in the middle of the fantasy. I was checking to make sure we record.
That could have always been a whole thing.
Mm-hmm. So you're still saying me poking you is a fantasy.
I'm not saying that. I'm asking you
if it's a fantasy.
Yes, there's a difference.
So clearly we're talking about fantasies today because you keep going at it. Fantasy. What kind of fantasies are we talking about?
I don't know. Which one you want to talk about? You want to talk about you poking me?
Or is that a fantasy? You still at it? It's not poking you is not a fantasy.
All right, so let me ask you then. I mean, because you're committed and everything, right? You're even married.
Yes.
What this is broad, so I mean, this just doesn't cover married people, okay? So don't feel left out here. I mean, whatever. So once you're in a committed relationship, then it's gotta be covered those years as well. Because I mean, what I want to find out, right? Because in most cases, people fantasize like before they're in a certain situationship. Then, right? They have these fantasies in their head in terms of stuff that they would want to do, how they would want to do it, how they want the person to be, stuff like that. So my question is, do you still fantasize, when you're in a committed relationship, whether it be marriage or regular,
just being in a serious relationship? Do you fantasize?
Yeah.
I think I would say, I don't know about other people, but I think fantasizing is
and it's broad.
needed.
Let me have some Grey Goose here.
Gosh, I think fantasizing is needed.
Okay.
In a relationship.
Is it like a spark?
Yeah, I would look at it that way.
Okay.
Because then that way, it opens, especially if you have like an open relationship. By open relationship, I'm talking about open in terms of communication.
Okay.
Not open in terms of.
I was gonna do my invitation, but okay.
Kevin.
When you hear the Kevin like that, you know I'm in trouble. Yeah, but I mean, like. All right, so you're saying that it's great to have fantasies.
I think so. I would like to believe so. That I think it's okay to have fantasies, because that way, like going back to my original point where I was saying, if you have like an open communication with your partner, that way then it gives you that platform to make sure that your fantasies are kind of fulfilled by the person you're in a relationship with.
So that's the thing. That it brings me to the other thing to say, because in most cases, fantasizing is something that you have in your head, right? You fantasize about all these stuff that you want to do, want to get done, whatever it is, whether it be sexual, whether it be, whatever it is that you consider as a fantasy, for example. But then the part that's kind of puzzling me now is, do you get it out there? Like, do you let your partner know that this is something that I fantasize about? or something that I would love to do, then can we try? I mean, the fact that it was a fantasy and whatever it is, you might not tell him that it was a. I mean, I think it would be okay to tell him that it was a fantasy.
Yeah, because where are you getting it from?
That's what I'm saying. I mean, you
Yeah,
could, but do you actually, come out like that and say, you want to fulfill this fantasy then, or do you still have these fantasies,
on your own? And but I think I would say that it also boils down to the lines of communication with your partner.
Okay.
So if you have, like, again, if you guys have that line of communication always open, where you talk about anything and everything, to spice up things in the bedroom or whatever it is. So if you have that line of communication open, then it's easier, I think, to be open with your partner, with your spouse, and be like, we do have those moments where we like, okay, what can we try out? What can we, what would can we do this? Can we do that? So I think if you have a good line of communication with your partner, it shouldn't be a problem. Which we all supposed to have, like, that communication with our partners with sexual, especially when it comes to sexual side, where you are free to actually tell your partner how you're feeling, or where your headspace is, or whatever it is, or what your fantasies are as well. To say, okay, baby, I would like to try this, or him also letting you know that, let's try this, because I think as time goes on, it's like a routine, and it gets, I wouldn't use the word boring, maybe. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So I feel like every now and again, it's okay
to drop in some of those
fantasies, to spice up, go to an exotic club.
I mean, come on, man, you're just showing shades now. Anyway, so I mean, like, but what if some of those fantasies can't be met for example? I mean,
what kind of a fantasy can't be met? Unless you're fantasizing about somebody else.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Fantasies include a lot of stuff, is it?
Okay.
So let's say, for example, in a case, because fantasies, you're covering just like doing certain things, like doing things, right? Together and all of that. But I mean, let's say, all right, let's say, for example, you're with a partner and whatever it is, I'm talking to the broad audience, I'm talking to myself, just using as an example, right? And let's say you want to fantasize on something that the other partner is not, really interested in. How does that work? Where does that leave you?
Okay, so for example, meaning, like, you would have spoken about it at the beginning, or at some point in time in your relationship,
because
and you know that this person does not do this, or can never do it. So it's something that you fantasize. Where does that leave you?
Headspace.
Oh my God, that's hard. That's really hard, because
here you are trying to please this partner, whatever it is. So I'm saying again, you just said the line of communication. We just address all that kind of stuff. But then it brings us to the part where, what if you hit that? Is there like a rock?
Like, for example, you find that there are some people, there are some couples or some who say, okay, I don't go down, like men who say, I don't go down on a woman. But at the same time, the woman fantasizes about
the man doing that?
The man doing it.
Yeah, so where does that leave it? Where does that lead to something else? Because I mean, fantasies keep floating around in your head, is it?
That is actually a good question. As where does that leave the other partner then? If you are in a relationship with someone and there's certain things that that person is not willing to do for personal reasons,
and you fantasize, it's something that you fantasize about,
chances are you going to cheat.
All right, so that's why I asked that question.
Chances are you going to step outside to fulfill that fantasy.
As far as I know, fantasies are stuff that you want to get done.
Yeah.
So you being the person that's having the fantasy, does the fact that your partner is not up for it, what, you just try to disappear from your imagination, or what? Because that's hard to do.
It is. It is. I would say, it's hard to do.
Mm-hmm. So what would you recommend in a case like that?
It's about, relationship is about compromising.
Okay.
Relationships about sacrificing and compromising, and also it depends on how good is your relationship.
Okay.
Right. So some people be like, I can never compromise on this. There is no way I can. I feel like in the bedroom, we can compromise.
Okay.
And I feel like unless the only thing to each their own. Like some people, there are certain things where some people will be like, me, I don't mind if my man sleeps with other men, as long as I'm his wife, he still comes back to me. I'll still take him back and whatever. And then some will be like, that's a hell no. We have different things that we can tolerate, we can accept and whatever.
Which is each their own,
which is understandable. But like I said, I feel like in when it comes to the sexual side, personally, let me speak for me. I would based on the relationship that you and I have, if it's just some jack outside, that's different. If it's someone that I'm not in a committed relationship with, I don't think I can compromise.
Okay, so
we have to have something concrete.
We're covering the committed part. So like you said, you're committed, right? Because that's why I use the word committed.
Yeah.
Because if you're just fantasizing in terms of to say do something with Jack, for example, I mean that's
go do with Jack.
Yeah, I mean that's your fantasy as long as Jack is okay with it. But the reason why I'm specific in terms of being committed, and as again, I'm not just outlining just married couples here. You're in a committed relationship.
Meaning long term.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So it's not
committed,
it's not just kicking.
It's serious.
You're not kicking it. You know what I'm saying? You guys are actually in a relationship. You know what I'm saying?
As long as we are in a relationship and we are not married,
right? I
am still single. So I do whatever I want to do.
That's how you look at it?
That's how I look at it.
So hold up. So you look on boyfriend, girlfriend as being single? That's what you're telling me?
Not according to the law. What do you feel in when they ask you? Marital status, what do they say? You're
that's
single.
Marital is different. So hold on a minute now. So for you to be in a commitment then, right? Commitment only means marriage. That's what you're saying to me?
No. Okay. I'm not looking at it that way. Meaning if I can be in a committed relationship, like long term, obviously be serious, and you with one partner and you're in a serious relationship,
so you consider
right?
that as committed?
It's a committed relationship, right? Okay. But then with that said, I am still not married. That's one. Two, meaning in that situation, anything can change. There is nothing binding me or bonding me with that person legally. Maybe that's another topic for now. That's another topic.
No, but we're talking about commitments here. So like you said, because
if you're in a committed relationship, I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying.
I guess, like you said, that
this topic that I'm bringing up is a topic for another time. So let's go back to let's go back.
Because if that was the case, if I knew that's where your head is, then I would have said married. But me saying married, not everybody's married. But
that's true. Not everybody. You know not everybody is married, and they're committed. Like I said, I'm speaking for me, which is what I said, that as long as I am not married to a person, I still consider myself single, because I am single. And which is that this is a thing that I think a lot of us women are getting stress ourselves over, and we end up feeling some type of way at some point, because you feel like, okay, I was in a committed relationship with this person, and this person turns around, we break up, and didn't see the need for him to give me his last name, but then goes and gives the last name to somebody else. So this is what I'm saying. That's a topic for another day. Looking at it from my personal side, personally, I don't know how other women look at it, but me, myself, and I, as long as I am not married, I am single, and I can be the side chick. I'm not the main chick. until that person puts a ring on my finger and says, this is what I've chosen, this is who I've chosen, I wouldn't know whether I'm the main chick or not.
So
you wouldn't know.
You said being married makes you the main chick.
I'm not. I can't even say the main chick, but you have.
Let me leave that.
You have that title, as in you're the wife. At the end of the day, when you're putting down, completing whatever it is, marital status, married, single, divorced, I will put married there, and then whatever it says in terms of where you, the person I'm married to, I become that person's go to in terms of even legally. I have a leg to stand on. But if I am not married to this person, even if this person has passed on, depending on what relationship I have with the family, if this person has passed on, I can't say shit. I can't say anything. I have no word. I have no leg to stand on. So basically, I'm still single. Yeah, that's another topic for another day. Let's go back.
I see a lot of stuff here. Anyway,
so. What do you see?
She just fired me up right now, but there's so much stuff floating around my head. I guess it's those fantasies. So,
babe, you don't worry about me. You married me already, so don't worry about me going anywhere. I'm stuck with your ass.
I'm not worried. I mean, I'm not worried. Don't worry about that. Even if it was the other way, I'm not worried. But but like I said, do we compromise then in terms of with those fantasies? And like when those fantasies are not met, then for whatever reason, whether it be religious or whether it just be personal or whatever it is, I mean, that leads to another thing, is it?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it actually does. Speaking of religious, I feel like, excuse me, that is where it's important as well when you get into a relationship with someone to at least have, because religion is something very deep. So it's not something that you can okay, I don't do this for personal reasons. The minute somebody says I do this for religious purposes, that's deep. Because then that's a commitment they made, a vow or commitment they have with God or with their creator. So you cannot come in between that, right? So when they tell you that's it. So you know for a fact that when you get into a relationship and this person is like this, that would mean either you have to accept them the way they are and you go ahead and you starve on your side, or you have to convert and become them.
All right. Okay.
Religious purposes.
All right. So back to what I'm saying then. Okay. So all right, so you make all your points clear and everything.
The fantasies, religious purposes as well. I mean, it's very important.
Yeah, so like you're saying, it also includes like compromising.
Yes.
I mean, if you don't want to do something, for example, but your partner has this fantasy that they want to fulfill, you're saying that it's okay to just compromise. Like you're saying for those guys that don't get down, for example, but they're
I think we have to be reasonable at some point. There is certain situations where when you are committed, like he said, it doesn't matter whether you're married or not, but with long-term or serious relationship where you guys have decided that you're together, that's it. No going out with other people. So that, I think you have to compromise. If it's reasonable. If it's reasonable, it has to be something reasonable.
And I mean, also you have to look on the fact that, I mean, what you consider reasonable is not the same thing.
That's so true.
You call reasonable. So I mean, we're talking to a broad
audience. If it's reasonable to you,
right? So if it's reasonable,
it's a personal decision.
I mean, yeah. So I mean, like the whole thing that I'm trying to get out of it, because like, do people get those fantasies out their head? Like, have you gotten all your fantasies that you wanted
out of my head?
Yeah. Or you keep hiding?
I would say they end. Well, there's a new fantasy that comes up and we address it, or we do it, or I get it done, or you know what I'm saying? Because we have that, you and I have that open when it comes to our bedroom.
Yeah, the open communication part.
We have the open communication where we talk about what we want to try out, what you want to do this, you want to try this, you want to all that. So I would say fantasies, some come and go. Some it does happen that it could be a fantasy for just one day, and then you realize, no, I cannot do that. Actually, no, and then it disappears.
Like you said, that was so basically here. Like looking at it now, you have fantasies that you should have when you're single, and you have fantasies you have when you're committed. And when I say single, I mean not being with anybody, but you're looking to say, like you see this girl that you like, that you're not with her, but there's certain things that you want to do to her.
Yeah.
That's also a fantasy. But then, like I said, there are certain fantasies that you have to keep it like that, because then you bring that same fantasy to a committed relationship. It probably poses as a problem, is it?
That's what I'm saying. But then there are some people, there are some couples who are okay bringing in the third person into their relationship, into their bedroom. There's some couples who are comfortable with that. So I think it also
like the threesome comes to a fantasy.
Yes.
Okay.
So you find that they will say, okay, maybe the lady has to choose which woman, because if a guy has to bring in a woman, then that's a problem.
Okay.
So the woman always ends up being the one responsible of selecting the candidates.
Is it?
To say, okay, I think we'll go with this one, or we'll go with this one. So she brings that way, then the lady feels comfortable to say yes. So I've heard of situations like those that, so it also boils down to what kind of relationship you have with your partner. That's one. If you guys are open to bringing in other people from outside, if a threesome is a fantasy that you'd like fulfilled, and your partner is open to it, then you go ahead and you do that. But one thing about fantasies, like you asked earlier, does it go away or doesn't go? It doesn't go away. One thing about fantasies, I feel like the fantasies fulfill one, you aim higher. After you've fulfilled the threesome fantasy, what comes after that? That's a foursome. What comes after that? That's an OG. You know what I'm saying? I believe.
You believe that
because you've reached that.
Okay.
Because sometimes fantasies should stay fantasies.
You fulfill that fantasy.
Yes, so if you fulfill it, then another one. I'm talking about the wild ones, not these petty ones where I'm like, okay, I want you to push me against the wall, and not that. Okay. I'm talking about like the serious, deeper ones, the wild ones, where you're like, because you're gonna be like, okay, I have a fantasy of a threesome. Get the threesome. Yes, get the threesome, and then after the threesome, now we've reached the threesome. So what are we trying to do?
Unless the fantasy is growing, if it's not growing, then that's something different. Like you said, some fantasies just have to stay at fantasies,
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. If we leave certain things like it is, then does that leave you comfortable? Are you satisfied? Like you have to tell yourself that, listen, this I'm definitely not gonna. I know my partner is definitely not gonna be up for this. So as much as I wanted this done,
another thing I would say that bring it up, right? Because people, what I didn't want at the beginning, 10 years later I might want it.
Okay.
Because we grow in relationships as well. And most of the times, the reason why people don't do certain things is because they're uncomfortable.
Okay.
So,
that's
comfort is key.
Yeah.
So, I would say that if, let's say, you had a talk with your partner at the beginning or whatever, maybe 2 years, and you mentioned something that is a fantasy, and your partner said no, and then, unless they say it's for religious purposes, if it's not religious purposes, if it's just a personal thing, maybe 3 years after that, say, you know what, babe, you still don't want to go down on me? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Maybe at that time they'll be like, you know what?
Yeah. Okay.
You know, it
Go
doesn't
away.
mean so much to you.
Right.
One, two, you are with this person, you've been with this person longer now, and you're basically one. So it's like, maybe I'm not compromising my integrity in this situation. Nobody else will know about it. It's just me and her.
Right.
You know,
I mean,
so
as long as you get the expression out, because like again I said, like the problem that I have is if you keep those to yourself, because then it becomes a problem. Because I mean, like we said, fantasies can lead to some
someone
shit.
stepping out of the relationship, to fulfill a fantasy.
Oh my God, and like now you think about it, it's so deep. Like I mean, because like I said, fantasies are, it's a broad area, and then let's say you fantasize on, like, and again, like we said, I think some fantasies just like the stuff that you would fantasize about when you're single. I don't think you fantasize about the exact same thing when you're in a committed relationship.
Yeah,
because let's say you are single and you fantasize about being with a guy that's muscular, then for example, but then the partner that you have is not so muscular. That fantasy, obviously, would it go away? Like, I mean, in a case like that,
I think it would go away depending on how fulfilled you are in the bedroom.
Okay.
If you're satisfied in the bedroom, a lot of stuff goes away.
Yes. Okay.
I think I'm speaking for myself. Why are you laughing? You're tripping. So, like, I think a lot of stuff disappears when you're satisfied, because then you don't have room to actually be thinking about other things.
Other stuff?
No.
Okay.
So, if, like, for example, I want someone to go down on me, it was a fantasy, and then here comes my husband, he does it. Or there's something else that I want, even though maybe my husband doesn't do certain things, but there's certain things that he brings to the table that actually compensate for me not getting that other thing, or you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
It just that I'm like, oh wow, okay, this is better than what I thought.
Okay.
So yeah, so it just depends also on what it is and how satisfied are you in the bedroom.
Okay.
So it's more like you find that some women fantasize about having a man with a big dick, which doesn't always mean it's working properly. But it's just that, it's gotta be big. It's gotta be big. Yeah, it's gotta be big, and do what?
Yeah,
and then you have another one with a small thing, and they will move you to places you ain't never been. So
is that the DR? Is that other fantasies of stuff that he's doing?
It could be. It could be the D, because sometimes certain D's move certain ways.
I mean, I guess you even touching those spots.
Yes. It doesn't mean just because it's big doesn't necessarily mean it's shooting the right way.
I mean, most women always. I think women talk about that a lot, because, like, again, women fantasize on being satisfied. Like, if we should put a survey out right now to say, does size matter?
Yeah, most of them will be like, yes.
And it's funny because majority of the time, I don't know what is it with women getting satisfaction, say, from size. Then if it's the case that it hits a certain spot, I mean, it's a case where it does certain things to them or whatever it is, because I mean, yeah, I don't even know how I don't know.
Well, you shouldn't comment, because already he's like, okay, you shouldn't say anything because he knows he's big, so he cannot talk for small people. So let me talk.
Why I can't talk? Why I can't talk for them? I mean, I'm just looking up for my brothers right now. I mean,
no, brothers, as long as you know how to use it, as long as you know how to work it, it's not like if like, let's say you are maybe other people do that, but I don't think so. If like you're in a relationship with someone, committed relationship with someone, and it's small, but then that person satisfies you in the bedroom, are you going to continue fantasizing about a big one? To an extent that you would cheat on the small one with the big one, only to find out that that big one is not even worth it. Yeah. And then now the small one gets upset and decides to divorce your ass. And then now what? 80-20?
I mean, picture me and you and me. You want to fantasize about going in the tree.
To do what in the tree? You fantasize about going what? Yeah. On top of the tree?
Yeah.
You fantasize about having sex on the tree?
Yeah, let's climb a tree.
Which tree? Baby, we're in America. We are not in the countryside where there is proper trees.
Oh my God.
I'm not a leopard.
Yo. I have to leave that fantasy until when I go to SA.
Are you serious?
I go to SA. I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay. Tree? That's weird. But people got different fantasies. You never know.
I mean, people
fantasize about different shit.
You want your stuff done, you want your stuff done. But the main thing that I think should be done is obviously, like you said, the communication part of it. Because a lot of people they keep all that fantasies in their head without sharing it with their partner. Again, I'm not talking about single persons here now.
Yeah.
Because if you're single and you're keeping it in your head, then it's up to you. But like if you're in a relationship, obviously, I think it's something that you should discuss.
Yes. Yes.
It's something that you probably should introduce. Having the discussion first. Don't just go ahead and just be doing stuff with people. I mean, I've heard some, because you can have a fantasy that the person is not interested in. So again, it comes down to communication. For those persons who fantasize about, like, say, doing certain things, then like you said, the whole going down. You have guys that are obsessed with having like a certain type of sex. Then you know what I'm saying. I mean, what if the girl is not okay with it? But in your head, it's one of your things that you wanted to do, and whatever it is. I mean, you can't just. I'm using that as an example to say because it's an uncomfortable situation. So you don't want to just go ahead and put somebody in that uncomfortable situation by just doing it to them.
So you're saying we have to discuss certain things before we start?
No, like the same way you're gonna discuss a fantasy. Like, you can't just drop the fantasy on me, boom, right?
In action, you can't just action the fantasy.
I mean, I don't think it's okay. That's me personally, because again, if you want me to go back as an example, like you said, you just were there and we're making out, and then let's say you putting my head down there.
Me putting your.
Like, I mean, no, because...
But that's another thing, though. Right. That's another thing. I think it's only fair to let the person
again. No, it's not just moving. I get what you're saying, but again, it comes down to the communication again. Because let's say you're caught up in the moment or whatever it is, you can speak to the person in that moment as well. To say, I would love for you to do this, or
during that moment.
Yes, I mean, like. Well, let's say the guy is sucking on your breast and whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? But it doesn't seem like he's going down there for you.
That just goes to tell you that person won't do it. He's uncomfortable.
I mean, the fact that he won't go down there. Yeah. So it can't be in his head that you are not comfortable with it. Because again, how does that come up?
If like I would.
Are you saying that 90% of the women is okay with it?
I would say that 90% of the women will be okay. The thing is, if he's doing all of that and he keeps not going down there, chances are, I'm not saying all the time, but chances are he doesn't want to go there, not because he thinks you don't want him to go there. It's in his head, he thinks you don't want, he doesn't want to go there himself, period. But then, if he's going down there and you as a woman, you're uncomfortable with him going down there, that's when you pull him up. That way, then he can tell that you don't want him to go down. But
I mean, if you're gonna be addressing that like it is, I think it should be addressed fair, because again, there are guys who have it in their head
that
say,
women don't, they
like,
wouldn't want.
It's not a matter of, I mean, because you do have women or like experience again is another thing. Like, what if they had a bad experience or whatever it is? You know, that's another.
It also with the guys,
So,
I think, when we're
because
giving,
I mean, sometimes like again, you know, it feels different when you're like you're told then, or you're advised then, in terms of stuff that you would want to do or stuff that you want to try, stuff that you fantasize about. Like, let's say you had a broad discussion then about it or whatever, right? So you have an idea as to stuff that you like. Again, it's a committed relationship. So me not knowing you then simply mean we're not in a committed relationship. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Whereas in, you know, I should know the basic stuff that you need.
Like, okay, sexually
If it's the first time, then again, the discussion should be there. You know what I'm saying? In terms of, like we did, like even when we used to just communicate before actually getting.
Yes,
like,
you and I communicated.
You know what I mean?
Like,
I mean, what are the stuff that you
over
like?
the phone call? Actually, what you like, what you don't want,
like, whatever it is.
Yeah, what wouldn't you do?
So what are you open for? You know, like, I mean, as much as you've never done this, is this open for you? Like, is it something that you consider?
Would you like to try this?
You know,
Yeah.
so, you know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. Sometimes it's not that the guy wouldn't do it, because again, it's like you saying that a guy wouldn't commit to a girl then. But, you know, it takes that person, it always takes the right person for certain things to be done.
Yeah,
because I don't think like a guy like that, let's say he's uncomfortable to do certain things, like to go down, since we're talking about that, right?
Yeah.
But then he's with this person that is so comfortable with that, he finds himself, let's say, you know, interested in, you know, pleasing her in that way. Like you said, 90% of the women, they want that to be done, or they would enjoy that.
Yes.
It's not something that they say no to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, but then again, it's not like for the guy to just start doing it. You know what I'm saying? The same way we would think. Like, I mean, 90, probably 100% of the guys would be okay with a guy, with a female ready to go down. You know what I'm saying? Because already in our head, that's something that we most men think about. You know what I'm saying? But again, you're not just gonna go down again, because it's not just about you. You know, it's about also the other person. The
other person.
So I mean, you know, but I mean, like, again, I don't know.
Hey,
we keep fantasizing.
We keep fantasizing. You said we keep fantasizing.
And you said we grow as we fantasize. So I mean,
yeah, I think so.
What do you want to try?
Exotic club.
We've been to that exotic club. Bro.
No, bro. Yeah, okay. I'll tell you my fantasy offline.
Okay, all right. I'm looking forward to it.
No, you ain't shit. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us in this heated topic. We hope you enjoyed.
It's a fantastic topic.
It's a fantastic topic. It's about fantasies. What are your fantasies? Before we go.
So why are you so interested in my fantasies? Why are you always picking on me?
You asked, it's a fantasy.
Oh, it is?
Yes. To pick on you.
You want me? It's a fantasy to pick on me?
Yes.
I think so too. I mean, it's just, yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us today, guys. We look forward to chatting with you, engaging with you, and connecting with you again in the next episode. From myself, Kiki Nemad. And my husband, Kevin Nemad. We out.
Peace.